I'm Grain of Salt. I'm here with Dan Hillery. We're at Strategy World 2025 in Orlando, Florida. And this will be my first podcast with my real face. No helmet.
Awesome, Grain. This is awesome for me to be finally on camera with you instead of just tweeting about you
Right.
as a guy in a motorcycle helmet. So, I mean, it's great to fully be in front of the camera.
Well, great. I have a few questions for you. I want to start off with the first time you saw something that I posted, or if I was on a space, what was your initial impression?
Yeah, my first impression of you was on one of the big Twitter Bitcoin spaces, and you were explaining something about multiple Ferraris, Bitcoin in 2017, and Facebook. But your whole philosophy was, when you make life-changing money, you have to stop playing the game, take 20% off the table, go live your life. That's more important because time's more scarce than your money. So that, I know, has left a lasting impact on me and a lot of other people.
Great. Okay, I appreciate that. So then we went to Bitcoin First in Santa Monica in late 2024.
If you talk about how that happened.
How did that happen? What did you tell me?
Yes, I was doing what I consider analysis on MicroStrategy at the time and Bitcoin, and you found me online. I had no followers. I was just doing my thing, making my trades at a very kind of small scale, and you DM me. You said, please call me. And so I called the number, and you picked up the phone, and this man with this voice, which I recognize from all the spaces, his voice is very familiar and is recognizable. And we talked about life. We talked about the future. You asked me about my portfolio. You told me about your portfolio. And you said you have to come to Santa Monica. And I remember being on the fence, being like, oh, is that really, should I do that? Shouldn't I just do my analysis and stuff? And after that event, I realized how important it was to get out there and meet people and be a part of this space. And that's something really you provided for me, was that insight because of how magnetic you are with people. So.
Well, thank you. One of the things that you said to me that resonated with me was that I said, why did you get into this space and why are you doing this? And what you said was, there is no job that I can get that would pay me for the lifestyle that I want to live. And what I thought, the wisdom that was said in that you realized that at a very young age, less than half my age, I just thought that was brilliant. And I thought from that perspective is, you're going to go and do whatever it takes to do that for whatever you believe is important to you. And so then we get to Santa Monica, and that's where they're doing the options pit where we were talking about this. I didn't actually meet you there. It already started. I saw you, and we're going back and forth. And I was talking back and forth, and then you heard me speak, and then I looked at you.
Yeah.
And you looked at me, and I'm like, oh, you're Dan. Yeah. So I said, we have to talk afterwards. But when I first started speaking there in that event, what was your impression then? Because that was the first time you saw me in real life.
Well, we always say your superpower is your ability to interact with people, and you were kind of commanding that group, leading the conversation where a lot of people were hesitant to speak up. And there was only one other person who was really doing that, and that was Tad. We later connected with him. But I think we were kind of pushing people to expand on their ideas. We were keeping the conversation flowing. I felt that was just, I think, an incredible conversation, talking about what we had been talking about one-on-one, and then bringing that to more people who are interested in the subject.
Okay. So we had a great event, and that went well. Now, 9 months later, you've been to my house, you've driven the cars.
I have.
What's the difference between me in real life and the way I present myself on X?
I think on X, and I'll be quite frank, Grain, I think on X, it's easy for someone to kind of project their own insecurities or their own beliefs onto your account, your profile, right? If someone isn't happy with where they are in life, they could see your account as being, braggadocious or just over the top, and they get kind of fearful and their pride is hurt. And so they can retaliate. The only thing I've learned from you is how generous and helpful you are for anyone that's interested in Bitcoin, MSTR, all of this stuff. So, I think there's a big difference between seeing someone's posts online and seeing their success. The amount of success you've had is incredible, and people can get defensive. Whereas in real life, you realize, no, the Grain is here. He has helped so many people and is so generous with his time, with his resources, that I think that already is coming back to reward you, and it has rewarded all of us so much. So in summary, the difference between online and in person is online, you just get the highlight reel, and it's easy to interpret that how you may. If you're angry, you interpret it in a bad way. In person, you get the full personality, the full heart, and that you don't get online.
So when I made the offer to you at Bitcoin First, and I said to you, I will let you optimize a portion of my portfolio, and if it 4X's, that I'll buy you a Porsche 911. Did you think I was being legit when I made you that offer?
No. Not. I didn't think like it was legit or not. I didn't think much about it. I was just like, I was after that event. I was like, Grain's a great guy. I love all these guys. I want to do whatever I can to help them. I want to be a part of their group. I want to move forward, doing this stuff because it was really interesting to me. So I didn't think much about the Porsche at all. I literally just wanted to help you optimize your portfolio. And then when you did buy me the Porsche down in Florida, I mean, I was completely floored away. Like it was one of those things because I had also, I was driving a 2002 F-250 pickup truck with no brakes. And, I had made...
Not advisable.
Yeah. And I had made crazy amounts of money in my account as well over that time period. But it was all numbers on a screen. Like I never spent anything. It was just numbers on a screen. It wasn't real. And so when you bought me that Porsche, I was like, oh my gosh, like money's actually, like you can buy stuff with money, not just MSTR. And yeah, it was absolutely incredible. I drove it home and to where we were staying in Florida. My dad looked at me. He's like, "What is this car? Like, what are you talking?"
You just show over the brand,
a brand new Porsche, Carrera S. He's like, "What is going on?" I picked my mom up from the airport when she flew into Palm Beach, and her and my sisters, they like, what is it? They couldn't even figure it out. They thought I was selling drugs. And so, yeah, it really was an incredible experience. I'll never forget for the rest of my life.
Sure. Do you know why I bought you the car? Do you know why I made you the offer?
I don't know why you made me the offer, but I know you bought me the car as obviously appreciation and an investment in me, I would assume. But I don't know why you made the offer.
I made the offer because you were brilliant, but you needed the confidence.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Thanks, Grain.
Got it. So now, given all that, now we're here and it's later and we're doing a podcast. How does this all make sense? You've been on lots of podcasts. Mm-hmm. We're on stage. We did our own conference. Now, when you look back in this whole trajectory, where do you think we're going in 6 months or a year or 5 years?
Well, I think we've really pushed it forward in a way that we haven't been stepping on the gas. We hadn't been stepping on the gas at the beginning days and the beginning stages the way we are now. A lot of us haven't, our time is freed up. Jeff's time's freed up. And I think we can step on the gas and really exponentially grow this whole production. And just how well the event went this week, I don't know where we could be in a very short amount of time.
Yeah, I think where we can go is we haven't figured that out yet.
Yeah, we haven't figured that out yet. And we have so many opportunities. It's like, which one do we pick and put all our efforts into? And that's a lot more talking behind the scenes we're going to have to do.
I agree. And so what happens when people come up to you and they say, are you Dan Hillery? And since we've been here, they've come up and said, oh, you're part of MSTR True North. What does that feel like when people come up to you?
I mean, it's absolutely incredible. It's like being in a traveling band. It's the most surreal experience. But I mean, I watch people come up like today, Grain, you were walking down the strategy conference and there were cameras and mic booms following you. People would come up, introduce themselves. I love your content on Twitter. It's like and then that's not to mention last night we were sitting at dinner and we were all gathered around the table with Tad and Giuliano or two of your bankers were sitting at the bar, and I went up to them, just said, hi, how's it going? They're like, you guys, you don't know what's going on. You're sitting over there and people are passing by saying, who are the famous guys in the corner? And it's like, I'm like, this is all so weird to me. Like we were just nerds on the internet, trying to make a buck trading this stock. And it is funny how people identify with that authenticity. But for me, it's a complete whirlwind, absolute whirlwind. Like, I went from being in college or being,
You're still in college.
No, I graduated.
You did graduate?
Yeah, I graduated.
I thought you were going to graduate in the fall.
Yeah, I'm good. No, that's grad school.
Right.
Yeah.
Yes, you have not graduated grad school.
No, I haven't graduated grad school.
Okay.
But I remember being younger in college and I just, no one responds to your job offers. You're trying to make this traction. The older people don't respect you, and then you get thrust into this kind of world. And thanks to you and all your support, and I mean, it's so much of a different experience. Your like actual analysis, your thoughts get recognized in a way they weren't before. So that's the power of media, I guess.
It is. So ask me 2, 3 questions, whatever question you want to ask me.
Yeah. So I think the thing I was always curious about Grain from the get-go was, and you're an early investor in Facebook, and I know that was one of your big wins before Bitcoin. How did you identify that trade? I know you're in Silicon Valley, but how did you identify that trade? And then why did that trade inform your opinion on Bitcoin, where many investors can't make that switch?
So when Facebook did their IPO, it was a disaster. There was so much demand, they could not handle the orders. And then basically a year later, they were being sued because the stock price had dropped. Then what happened in August of 2013, they came out with a new metric. And it's a lot like strategy. That in the Q1 report, they came out with a lot of brand new metrics. And the metric that they reported on was that 50% of the revenue, advertising revenue, came on mobile devices.
Okay.
So that means people were no longer tethered to their computer. And why was that important? The reason why that was important was because now they have your location. Mm-hmm. So whatever ad they're doing can not only be tailored to what they're typing into, but where they are.
Right.
And I thought that was a fundamental shift, that 50% of their ad revenue was coming from the phone, which means those advertisers are focusing where those people are. And from that perspective, that was an inflection point. So I did not own any Facebook shares the day before that happened. And the stock was at $30. And after earnings, it went up 30%. It went up $9. And the next day I went all in.
Wow.
Because that was the inflection point. And when you see that happen, those opportunities come up infrequently. Mm-hmm. I tend to make large positions, but then I sit on them for years. I'm not a day trader. And so when I saw that, I'm like, wow, I have to jump on this.
Right.
And then that trade, and so I had the money before, and from working and saving, I self-made. And so I did it. And then I sat on that trade for 4 years.
Wow.
It wasn't a trade, it was investment.
Yeah, and I think that's something that we need to clarify for a lot of people in the audience is like, sometimes we say trade, but that doesn't mean a day trade. A trade can be a 4-year play. And in this case, the trade was a 4-year play that then you parlayed into being early in Bitcoin, right? Should we cover that story? I really like hearing your thoughts about seeing the distribution of holders of the Bitcoin.
Yeah. So with that, I was on a bus ride in December of 2014. A person worked for me that was at MIT, and we were discussing the hash rate. In December 2014 was after the Mt. Gox implosion. And what happened was the only way an American can really easily invest in Bitcoin, unless they went to a parking lot and exchange cash, was to use Mt. Gox. And it was the technology was relatively rudimentary, and Mt. Gox blew up. And so I didn't want to invest, and I didn't do enough homework. And then in 2017, Brian Kelly goes on CNBC and says, as everybody knows, Bitcoin has hit its all-time high last week of $2,000. I thought I missed the run. And so I immediately looked at it and I pulled an all-nighter. I did all this research, what happened. And I found that Japan had already recognized it as legal tender.
Wow.
And I was like, oh my God, I'm so late. And then what I found, what you referenced was, there's this great site, bitinfo.com, and they show the distribution, which for the techies is the Gini coefficient of holders. And at that time, there was a very low number, maybe 10,000 wallets that were above $1 million. Now, one person can have multiple wallets, and I'm like, oh my God, if this is the most valuable asset in the world, I want to be one of 10,000. And actually, it's probably a smaller number because one person can have multiple wallets. And once I made that logical conclusion, that's when I decided, I'll sell everything on Facebook and put it all into Grayscale Bitcoin Trust. And that was May of 2017. It was sub $2,000. And at the end of the year, it almost hit
20.
It almost hit 20,000, but from 14 to 17,000 only lasted 3 hours on a Sunday. And then I cashed out, paid large tax bills. And I believe in what I say, and I did it. I had a life to live, and I continue to do that. But once I made that logical conclusion that this is the most valuable asset in the world, I want to own as much as I can, which is completely irresponsible. It's completely irresponsible to do that. But for me, I was able to understand it, and there was no options involved in this. It was just buying it straight.
And I think to be a good options trader, you have to be investing for a long time in other things, right? Whether that be you
Sure.
investing in spot for years and years. I started investing in things other than options, and like Mason, for example, was investing in other things. So my question then is, okay, what is MSTR True North? What are we trying to create here? How have we designed this to be kind of the intersection between a Bitcoin research, media, info platform and like entertainment and lifestyle brand? Like, there's so many weird parts about MSTR True North you can't put into one box. So how would you describe it? Where is it going, and why are we doing this? Because obviously, like, we're just spending money. We're not making money on MSTR True North.
So after a lot of things happened at Bitcoin First in Santa Monica, and Tim was there, Tim Kotzman was there, and I just said to him, I said, Tim, if you have a choice between calling me and doing a podcast, an interview with somebody else, do not call me. So I've known him for a long time. And I said, I don't expect you to call me. I expect you to work as hard as possible for the next 90 to 120 days. And you need to get all these incredibly smart people and do a podcast on Bitcoin treasuries. And he went and did it. I only talked to him then. I stopped talking to him. I used to talk to him on a weekly or every few days. I only started talking to him like every 2 weeks. Basically, I would get feeds from him when he was posting his new content. And the reason why I bring that up is because that spawned what he did is, and we talked about this in his keynote, is a sense of community. And if he interviews the smartest people, gets their insights, and people watch that, then the community understands what's going on because they're hearing it directly. And so that was really huge. And I think that for me, it's inspiring other people in order to go build something. And that's what we did. So MSTR True North, what it means to me is building a community that the people in their existing surroundings, which are typically not normal because they believe in Bitcoin. Bitcoin doesn't have enough volatility, so they're going to buy a strategy stock, which trades at a multiple of Bitcoin, and then they buy that. So they want to feel like what they're doing makes sense. And that's why when you come to these events, you feel normal again. And I think in the future, what happens with my friends is they look back and like, wow, I wish I listened to you and I bought more earlier. And that's rough to hear.
Yeah. And so we're trying to we're at least trying to put the information out there and make it readily available for people.
It is, and it takes a lot of work. A strategy had a 93 slide Q1 deck. And when you get to page, like slide 63, I thought was awesome. And then the slides in the 70s. I mean, it's a lot of information to go through. And we're able to analyze that. I've already plugged it into AI. And I said, analyze these slides and give me feedback. So it's not only what I'm thinking, I plug it into AI, get an answer, and I ask you about it. Dan, what do you think about this?
So yeah, I guess one last question on the topic of AI. I mean, what you said in your keynote yesterday at MSTR True North, our MSTR True North event, was largely focused on analyzing sort of the data we process with Achilles Intelligence, our little options platform, processing that with AI, understanding it, trying to build your own, 3D models of vol surfaces. So you're a veteran, you know how to do that. I know Saylor today in his talk was saying that he uses deep research mode to analyze legal documents and create new products. So it seems like the people such as yourself and Saylor, who are kind of on the cutting edge, are looking to use AI in everything they do. So what do you think about, like, when you go through your day and you're creating events, you're making trades, you're creating internet tools, different media platforms. Right. How do you think about using AI? Do you say, I need to use this for everything? Do you say, is it just natural now? You just use AI?
It's natural. And I have a quirk where sometimes I ask questions in the form of a statement and AI doesn't care. So I'll make a statement and it automatically infers that it's a question. So for me, it gets rid of that little bit of social awkwardness. And so for me, it's really good that I could talk to it nonstop and then say, analyze this, change this one. Literally I type in, change this one parameter, make this number 50% larger or 2x. And it just calculates it. And I don't want to use the word, it's happy to do it. It doesn't care. It's AI.
It just does.
And so from that perspective, I think it changes everything about me. And I think that's the part where I said in my keynote is that your job will not be replaced by AI. It'll be replaced by a person using AI. And so for me, I'm using AI to keep ahead of the other people using AI. And that's one reason I wanted you to build Achilles Intelligence. It's so focused in one particular area to do all these simulations. But now I want to take that the next step with AI.
Absolutely.
And then that will give us this competitive edge with trading. And we're not high frequency traders, but what we want to do is have an edge against the other players in the market.
Absolutely. All right, Grain. Well, this has been amazing. I mean, if this is your first interview, I'm absolutely honored.
This is my first podcast interview with you, and I can't wait to do one in a year from now. See the difference.
We'll see where we're at.
We'll see where we're at.
I can't even imagine. I literally can't imagine.
You were like, oh, maybe next time we'll actually need bodyguards.
Yeah.
I hope that's not the case, though.
Yeah, I mean,
but no, this has been awesome. It's been
all right,
it's been awesome. Thank you.
Only looking forward to the future.